Hi, hello, and thank you. My name is Adair Johnson, and I'm a member of the St. Andrews graduating class of 2000. You know, there's really nothing like giving a high school graduation speech to remind you how really very old you are. Thank you to Dr. Waldron and the Board of Trustees for having me. I am honored to have been selected as the St. Andrews class of 2020 graduation speaker. It's my pleasure to welcome the faculty, the families, and especially the graduates to this monumental occasion. You have done it. Thank you for having me as your graduation speaker when in these times of virtual speaking engagements, you could have literally had anyone. Most people are currently available and looking for things to do. So I will add graduation speaking to my quarantine resume, which also includes mastering sourdough bread making and tie-dyeing a heck of a lot of t-shirts. I appreciate the opportunity to put on something other than one of my 3 rotational pairs of sweatpants. This is literally the first time I've worn a dress and makeup in over 4 months, though as my husband and close friends will tell you, that's not exactly atypical for me regardless of global pandemic. This is obviously not how anyone expected their school year to end or their graduation to be. I expected to be talking to you in person, but unfortunately I am obviously unable to be there. I thought it best for both my health and safety and for others not to travel across the country at this time. We are still very much dealing with the effects of COVID, and I live in the Los Angeles area. I very much had planned to be sharing in this wonderful occasion and would have loved to see you all in person and see my parents as well. My parents are still such a big part of St. Andrews and the St. Andrews family. When I told my mom I was asked to give the graduation speech, she made this audible gasp and said something to the effects of, "Oh, Adair." And I knew in that moment I couldn't say no. I was gonna have to give the speech as much as I did not want to stand in front of a lot of people or even sit here in front of being recorded in front of you. And the lesson here is that even at the age of 38, you will still be afraid of disappointing your parents. So I wanna say congratulations. Even though we are doing this virtually, that in no way takes away from your accomplishments. You have all worked so hard to get here, and even though your senior year did not end as you thought, your accomplishments are still remarkable. And honestly, who really remembers their graduation ceremony anyway? It's mostly a lot of hype. I know that St. Andrews has also prepared you for more graduation ceremonies to come. This has been a year, and it has felt like 20 years, and in actuality, it has only been 6 months. You seniors have had quite a lot to deal with. The year that I graduated from high school, the biggest crisis was whether or not computers were gonna be able to figure out the year 2000. So that was a time. I have sat down to write this graduation speech and gone through what I was gonna say many times over the last few months. And every time I've started writing it, it has changed so dramatically. We are living through both a global pandemic and a fight for racial equity in our country. Either one of these would be hugely important on its own, and these events that we are currently living through will likely become large chapters in future history books. For me to bring any words of wisdom to you today seems so small, but what I will say is that I don't have all the answers. And despite what they tell you, neither do your parents or your teachers. While we are here to guide you through parts of your life, at some point, you have to take over and lead the narrative. And I know that in a lot of times of crisis, we tend to turn to younger generations to say, "You're gonna help fix this." Us olds tend to dump our problems on someone else younger. You unfortunately inherit our mess, and it's your responsibility to clean it up. Well, that's only part of it. We need you, but we also need everyone to be the voices of change that you want to see in the world. You may have many questions about what your future looks like. At this point, I honestly don't even know what next week is gonna look like. But I can tell you from the last few weeks of demonstrations that I've seen and marched in that I feel hopeful for our future. We can't be silent about topics such as racism just because they make us feel uncomfortable. Progress comes out of the uncomfortable. It's our ability to recognize that there is a problem and change it. The killings of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and so many other Black lives have made clearer than ever the necessity for change. While our country fights for racial equity, we are also still very much dealing with a very dangerous virus that has killed over 100,000 people in our country. And this is not to make light of either of these situations, but what COVID has given most of us is time. A lot of what we did as extracurricular activities are limited and our priorities have shifted. I would challenge you to use this time to reflect on what you can do. And it's important to know that there are opportunities for you to be involved in change. Know that you can put that energy into really important things. I think the idea of change can seem daunting, but that even small actions are important. You just have to want to do it. Over the last few months of virtual work for me, the term I hear the most is the new normal. The word normal to me implies something kind of boring and something kind of negative, actually. It means conforming to a standard, and the standard is usually arbitrary. I personally want to be described as something better than normal. If someone said, "Oh, Adair, well, she's normal," personally, I would think that's rude. I think I'd rather experience the new exceptional or the new unique or the new weird. So my challenge to you, the class of 2020, is to rewrite what normal can be. Let's not be complacent with what is going on around us and accept that that is normal. Let's push forward into something better. This is your opportunity to change what is written at the end of the chapter for 2020. So while this has been a year that has seemed like 20, it has only been 6 months. We have an entire half a year to make this year better. And know that we're going to make this future better together. You didn't get to this point in your life working alone. You had support from family, from friends, and from teachers. Continue being supported and support them as well. This is a time when we all need each other. Amy Poehler, she is a comedian. She was in Parks and Rec, which for anyone who's watching this who's under the age of 25, that was a television show. Probably considered classic TV at this point, and I highly recommend watching it. She gave a commencement speech at Harvard in 2011 and said, "When you feel scared, hold someone's hand and look into their eyes. And when you feel brave, do the same thing." You are all here because you are smart. You are all here because you are brave. And if you add kindness and the ability to change a tire, you almost make up the perfect person. You can't do it alone. No one here today is because they did it on their own. You're all here today because someone gave you your strength. You will be leaving St. Andrews and moving on to bigger things. I can't wait to see what you all accomplish. Continue knowing that you will take your support system with you along the way and that you are never alone in this. So I will end by saying congratulations to the St. Andrews senior class of 2020. I think your character and perseverance have been truly tested in incredible ways over the last few months. Take these experiences and continue to push forward, and let's not settle for normal. Thank you.